Welcome back, guys. I hope you're having a good day today. It's another beautiful day today because we're reading some more concerning Reddit stories. They're fun, but they're also terrifying and they're also concerning, but I'm also kind of addicted to them at the same time. Something about them, I don't know what it is, but they're so fun to read. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Enjoy, guys. Oh my god, the first one that we're going to read today. I accidentally sent my husband to jail on the Am I the A-hole subreddit. My husband and I spent 40 grand finishing my mother-in-law's basement. She's a widow, still very active, but my husband is going to inherit her house and she invited us to move in with her, so we did. Now mother-in-law is acting like our foster child is a major problem to bring into the home, even though we asked. Mother-in-law knew that foster child was moving in with us. We finished her space, painted her room, etc. But mother-in-law says that she doesn't like foster child for no reason. No behavior problems. Mother-in-law refuses to give my daughter and foster child a key. She doesn't want my daughter's boyfriend to visit. She keeps turning off lights while I'm working and bringing people into our space without warning. So her friends have caught me getting out of the shower twice. We've only been here 2 weeks. Anyway, TLDR, we had another conversation with mother-in-law about the issues. It turned into a fight, which was my fault. Mother-in-law said that she doesn't want us here. She said that her name is on the title and it wouldn't be too expensive for us to move out. I tried to leave and get a hotel, but my husband took away my phone and keys and repeatedly blocked my exit, but I was able to get away. I went to a neighbor's house and I called the police so I could get my phone back. Well, apparently he obstructed justice and perpetrated domestic violence by taking my phone and cancelling my attempts to call 911 using my Google Home device. So yeah, hubby was arrested tonight and I don't know what to do. I'm gonna bail him out first thing in the morning. He's completely non-violent, no criminal history or prior arrest, but I'm worried that he might divorce me or something. This is completely non-typical for us. We hardly ever fight and we've never called the police for help. Am I the a-hole for getting mad that mother-in-law doesn't want our foster child here? Am I the a-hole for feeling like the basement should be our space since we're paying half the mortgage and we paid to renovate it? Am I the a-hole for calling the police to get my phone and keys back? I didn't want my husband to go to jail. He doesn't deserve it, but I actually got him arrested. Help. Wow. Okay, that's a lot to take in for the first post in the video. There's a Q&A edit here. Question: how do we have a foster child? Foster child is not in the foster system. She's my daughter's best friend. Her mum is an abusive hoarder and kicked her out at 16. So she moved in with her sister, but her sister's boyfriend was soliciting her for oral diddly. She came to us because she had nowhere else to go. We took her in because it was the only thing to do. She just needed a place to land for a year or two while she finishes high school. So again, not fostering. We honestly thought that we were a good family and we could help. Okay, so there's a bit here that says resolution. A very expensive lesson. I have decided I'm the a-hole. I have 2 children who need me and I need to play nice. I had my a-hole butt in court as soon as the doors opened. I refused to make a statement or press charges. I spoke with the victim advocate and she helped me speak with the DA's office. I told the judge I've made a terrible mistake. I've never felt physically unsafe around my husband, and I've taken every possible action to negate the charges. He did get released on recognizance. I was able to modify the mandatory protective order so he can come home. Lol, it doesn't really feel like home. The only thing that he can't do is buy firearms and ammo, or be intimidating or harassing. My husband's brother asked me to not be present for his release, though I'd waited there all day. My daughter and foster child are staying at his brother's house tonight, and so is my husband. Mother-in-law locked the girls out tonight, so they don't want to be here. I get it. His family doesn't want to be alone with him. I feel like I'm the perp, and honestly, I do blame myself because I did this. I didn't mean to do it, but I did, and I was reminded that all it would take is one call, and he could be doing time. That's terrifying. I can't let myself freak out again. It would ruin all of our lives. The only scary part for me is realizing that I don't have anybody to call. My family of origin is still in the cult. Wait, what? What cult? Oh my god, the plot is thickening, and I kinda lost my friends and community when I realized that I was agnostic. Oh, okay, I understand. I was like, what, you're a cult member? What's going on? My dad is a Baptist preacher. My family thinks I'm gonna burn in the lower regions of hell and drag my daughter along with me. We haven't spoken in 5 years. I also don't really have any money because I haven't been working and I sunk my money into renovations. I lost my job unexpectedly and we decided it was better for me to focus on the renovations and blending 2 or 3 households than to look for work. I'm currently making myself scarce in mother-in-law's basement. I've been keeping hubby's family updated, but I'm pretty sure that they hate me. Nobody's talking to me, and honestly, I hate myself. My husband's brother straight up refused to speak with me in court today, and mother-in-law hasn't talked to me or answered since I told her he was detained. My husband came over briefly to pack a bag. I apologized profusely. He says that I hit him. I don't remember doing that, but I guess it's possible. But I think if I did hit him, it might have been when he was blocking my exit. Neither of us are or were violent, so I really don't know. It happened pretty quick. In fairness, I got through a bottle of wine that night and 100% should not have stepped into an ongoing discussion with mother-in-law. That's why I say the argument was my fault. I did not start the the fight, but I did escalate it. For the record, I was not going to drive. I knew I was drunk and I would have 2 minors with me, but I did need to leave. We've talked about this in therapy, and I needed my phone to find where to go. Also, in fairness, I do have bipolar disorder. I'm fully medicated and in therapy, but I have some serious issues because I was raised in a cult and I was physically disciplined on a regular basis, so I don't do well with authority, and I'm not great at distinguishing reality from my own perception, which means I'm prime for being gaslit, or so I hear. I did share all of that information, my bottle of wine, my diagnosis, etc., immediately with the arresting officers. It didn't change the fact that they had to arrest him for taking my phone and interfering with the 911 call and preventing egress. Let this be a word to the wise from an absolute fool. Sometimes cops do their job too well. They should be allowed discretionary judgment in a possible arrest, but state law does not always permit it. They didn't want to arrest him after we explained the situation, but said they had to. Anyway, neither of us wants a divorce. I'm having a medication check with my psychiatrist. We both want to get counseling, couples counseling, family counseling, individual counseling, anger management, anything like that. We've also both agreed to stop drinking. It's not worth the risk and it probably does mess with my medication. Another reason I might legitimately be the gay hole. More importantly, my husband and I have agreed that we all need to move out of mother-in-law's house ASAP if we are going to make this work. I'm hoping that we can stay together, but it's going to take a lot of work to build up trust between us. But guys, I might be the gay hole. Wow, okay, I don't even know what to say after something like that. What the hell did we just read? I'm going to need a second to think about that. Oh my god, there's a comment here that says, wow, people need to come back to this after the edit. Now it reads like OP, you the gay hole. You got blackout drunk, started a fight, tried to drive drunk. Because you're blackout, you don't remember hitting your husband, and it was such a bad confrontation that your child, let alone this foster child, don't want to live with you. Well, I'm shocked that you asked if you're the gay hole. Why did your husband say that he was preventing you from leaving? You clarified that you have nowhere to go and have a history of mental illness. He probably thought you were leaving to go and harm yourself, I'd guess. You weren't wrong for calling the cops, and they were right to take someone to be detained to stop any escalation. But well, you clearly should have been the one charged from what this edit and your comments clarify. And like somebody else pointed out, that foster child is technically kidnapped by you, as far as the law's concerned. So yeah, maybe look into getting them and due proper state help and care. Yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. That was so wild and so unhinged, and yeah, that update really changed a lot in that. Because yeah, a lot of people in the comments were saying not the a-hole, and then they read the update, and they were like, oh, okay, no, you the a-hole. And the comment under that one too, what in the hell is that update? That's a huge bait and switch. OP drank a whole bottle of wine, started a fight with mother-in-law, and then tried to drive under the influence, it sounds like, which of course the husband would take the keys and try to stop her. Any reasonable person would, and she called the cops and got him arrested. Bruh, this OP is massively the gay hole, especially after leaving out so much information that caused her husband to appear abusive. God damn, OP, you the gay hole. Yeah, I don't even know how to feel, because when I was reading that, I was thinking like, oh, okay, so why did he take the keys, and why was he trying to stop you? And like a lot of people in the comment section said before OP updated, like that's really not good. But yeah, if you did down a bottle of wine and then you're trying to drive away to start a fight with your mother-in-law, yeah, of course the husband's going to take the keys and try to stop her. And also comments like this one, guys, she was drunk and on medication. He may have been trying to keep her from driving. She was so out of it she doesn't remember that she hit him. She's not a reliable source. It sounds like he was trying to calm her down and keep her from doing damage or harm. Yeah, I was thinking that too, but like, what do I know? I'm only reading a Reddit post. Yeah, I don't know. That was so wild, because then there are comments like this one too. Got into a fight, my fault, took away my phone and keys, stopped you leaving, and you're still making excuses for his controlling, abusing behavior. There are so many red flags here. It's like being at a Crimson Flag convention. I'm truly sorry, but you are in an abusive relationship. Your husband thinks that he can control you. He can't. Thinks he can detain you against your will. He can't. And when you don't do what he wants and you leave, he loses it so bad that the police arrest him rather than just get him to hand back your phone. The police obviously didn't feel that you would be safe if they left him there. Take notice of that. They know. You need to have a long, very honest conversation with yourself. Ask yourself if his control over you is part of a longer pattern of behavior that you've tried to normalize and rationalize. Ask yourself, was the argument truly your fault, or is that just what you've been told by them? Oh, and one last question. Whose idea truly was it to foster? And in case it wasn't obvious, you're not the a-hole. Yeah, I genuinely don't know. Let me know down below what you guys think. The next one that we're going to read is called, Am I the gay hole for socially denying a woman a seat next to me on the bus? I ride a pretty sparsely ridden bus from my work to my college. When I say sparse, I mean it's never even close to half full. There are always rows of empty seats at the time that I ride in the afternoon. I use a light linen bag for work and I don't want to put it on the floor or on my lap, so I put it on the seat next to me. All the seats are pairs, 2 seats next to each other. I don't mind anybody sitting next to me, but the bus is never close to full, so I use the space for my bag. Yesterday during my commute, a lady got on the bus and grimaced at me. She gestured for me to remove my bag so she could sit next to me. As usual, there were so many empty seats. I wasn't sitting in a disabled or reserved spot. There were seats closer to the door, but whatever, I'm not confrontational. I removed my bag so she could sit. I sort of rolled my eyes when she sat next to me and sighed. Not to be obvious, but because I just got off an 8-hour shift, I was tired and I wanted my own space. And she didn't have to sit next to me. She clearly noticed and then she said, "You need to learn some manners." After that, I got up and I moved to another seat, but the whole thing's been bothering me for a day. Did I really lack manners? It just feels like she sat there to teach me a lesson when she could have sat anywhere else. Yeah, no, you're definitely not the a-hole, OP. What did you do wrong? And what manners do you need to learn? You did what you were meant to do. I don't understand. Yeah, the top comment, not the a-hole. Bag in the seat. No intention on moving it. Empty seats all over the bus. You know what that means? Find your ass somewhere else to sit and leave people alone. OP, it sounds like you might have an occasionally anxious mindset. Rest assured that you did nothing wrong, hun. It was super inconsiderate for that lady to intentionally invade your personal space and demand that she sit next to you. Yeah, this is a public space and setting, so most of the time there isn't enough space to be left personally to yourself, but not the a-hole. The only one lacking manners and common courtesy was her and not you. Yeah, and like the comment under that says, not the a-hole, this has happened to me too. These people are just on a power trip. I just get up and move to another empty seat. If I get on any kind of transport and there are empty seats everywhere, I don't go and sit directly next to somebody. It's weird. Yeah, 100%. And for this person to say, "Oh, you need to learn some manners," like they obviously wanted to say that, even when they had no reason to say that. Like they were trying to tell you off and teach you a lesson, but you didn't do anything. Yeah, I definitely think it is a power and control thing. Because yeah, like that comment says, why else would you go sit next to somebody when there are heaps of empty seats on the bus? That's super strange and unnecessary too. Okay, for the next one that we're going to read, we're going to move over to the Entitled People subreddit. The next one is titled, "I Want a Biscuit, the 2-day saga of a hospital Karen." This is going to be long, but full of entitlement. I was in hospital and I ended up being put in the observation unit because no specialist beds were available. The obs unit is a catch-all ward where patients are put if they're not in imminent danger, but they do need regular monitoring. It's bright and extremely noisy, so nobody can sleep well. Unfortunately, Biscuit Karen arrives at 10 p.m. on day 1. Why is she called Biscuit Karen? Because she wants a biscuit, and she's shouting this loudly enough for the whole observation unit to hear. Never mind the time or that we're trying to sleep. Never mind that her blood sugar is 8.5, elevated, and she's diabetic, so she really doesn't need more sugar. But hey ho, the long-suffering nurses find her a biscuit and they ask her to be quiet. Biscuit Karen does not quieten down because shouting is her default setting, and she doesn't seem to notice that other patients exist. After 10 minutes of solid noise pollution, she wants another biscuit. The nurse gives it to her. More noise, then another 15 minutes later, she calls for another biscuit. The nurses are occupied, so nobody answers her immediately. So you know what she does? She shouts her request even louder. As if we all hadn't heard her already, this is where the nurses begin to lose patience. She's told to be quiet and her blood sugar level is mentioned. However, Biscuit Karen insists, so she's given another effing biscuit. Maybe the nurses drugged this one because Biscuit Karen soon goes to sleep and snores loud. This was a taste of what was to come, but nobody on the observation unit knew it yet. Day 2, 11 p.m. Biscuit Karen has been okay all day and nothing much appears to be wrong with her. She has a walking aid and can get herself to the toilet, but she doesn't want to. She calls a nurse to put her on the commode. A very blunt nurse points out that she's seeing Karen walking, so she's not going to help her. The toilet's only 10 meters away. Biscuit Karen does not accept this. She keeps on shouting for a nurse to help her. Eventually, the blunt nurse goes to check, and Biscuit Karen has actually wet herself in her passive-aggressive rage. The nurse is shocked and is telling Biscuit Karen off. Biscuit Karen does not care. Meanwhile, the bed is now sodden and they have to change the sheets. The blunt nurse helps Biscuit Karen onto the commode and then goes to get the spare sheets. Unfortunately for the nurses, other patients are being equally tricky. There's the alcoholic man who can't walk but keeps on trying and falling to the floor, the polar opposite of our anti-heroine, and a woman with a broken neck who constantly takes off her nightgown and tries to go wandering around. All the nurses are kept busy rounding up the strays and inevitably forget about the abandoned Biscuit Karen, left sitting there on the commode. Biscuit Karen ensures that she's not neglected for long. "Can somebody help me?" ricochets repeatedly around the observation unit to the dismay of all the people trying to sleep. Eventually it becomes, "Somebody help me, my back hurts." Of all the disruptive behavior happening on the obs unit, she's by far the loudest, the most persistent, and the most obnoxious because she caused her own discomfort in the first place. I'm peeved and so is everybody else. Blunt nurse gets back to her and an argument starts. She's cross as she's needlessly making the bed. Biscuit Karen is angry that she's been left in an uncomfortable sitting position. In fact, she's getting more aggressive by the second. And eventually she slaps the nurse. Blunt nurse does not put up with this nonsense. She abandons making the bed and leaves Biscuit Karen on timeout, still on the commode, and ignores all shouted demands to come back. She tells the other irate patients that she's not going to risk any further aggression, and we all agree with her in solidarity, and the blunt nurse was true to her word. So eventually, deeply compassionate nurse tried her luck making the bed. Unfortunately for deeply compassionate nurse, Biscuit Karen is a raging racist, true to stereotype, and she not not only calls her the N-word, but also tells her to go back to where she came from. Deeply compassionate nurse nopes out at that point, whilst the blunt nurse calls security. Biscuit Karen has begun yelling every few seconds, "I want my phone! Where's my phone?" Steal from the commode, presumably so that she can enact her threats. "I'm gonna report you. I'm gonna get you fired." The nurses aren't stupid though, so nobody gives Biscuit Karen her phone. It doesn't occur to Biscuit Karen to get off the commode and find her own phone. Meanwhile, the other patients have hit their BS saturation point and have started yelling at Biscuit Karen to shut up. It's past 12 a.m. and nobody can get to sleep. At this point, the cries from Biscuit Karen change to "Somebody help me!" every 3 seconds over and over again. The nurses are unmoved. There's a torrent of reactive verbal abuse from the other patients, but Biscuit Karen doesn't seem to hear them. In fact, she's completely devolved into a pathetic toddler tantrum, except toddlers have more self-respect, and she stays immersed in her self-pity for a long time. Meanwhile, 1 a.m. rolls around. Security officers take their time to arrive, but when they do, they're met with what appears to be a distressed old lady who claims that the nurses are hurting her and that deeply compassionate nurse actually hit her. That was an audacious lie. However, Biscuit Karen is too dysregulated to keep the facade up for long and is morphing straight back into a spiteful and aggressive harpy when blunt nurse goes back to fix the bed. The security officers see why they were called and they try to keep the peace while the bed is finally finished. There's not much two thick-set men can do with a small old woman perched on a commode, but they tried. Eventually, Biscuit Karen starts demanding her medication, and somebody comes up with the bright idea of calling an accident and emergency doctor who can quell the entitled savagery of the enraged Karen. Of course, it would be a young, handsome, confident male doctor, the very epitome of a rescuer to an old biatch who's trying to play the victim. When he turns up, Biscuit Karen becomes a sweet and compliant old lady, answering "Yes, doctor, no, doctor." She does try to repeat her lie about being assaulted, but several patient statements, 2 jaded nurses, and 2 exiting security personnel proved otherwise. The doctor gave Biscuit Karen her meds, she was helped to bed, and she fell asleep. Meanwhile, the rest of the patients on the OBS unit were too high on adrenaline to feel drowsy, so we were condemned to further wakefulness. I was so glad to leave the next day. If you read this far, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the sorry tale. Wow, that's terrifying. I feel like I was there when I was reading that. That's unbelievable, and that's definitely enough for today. We need something wholesome ASAP. One time when I was a barista, I was telling my co-worker that I suddenly really missed cows. I used to work with cows all the time back home, and then I moved away, and suddenly it had been 4 years and nary a cow. 15 minutes later, this old guy came up to the counter with his address written on a napkin, and he said, "Me and my wife have a whole herd of Dexters and a couple of new calves. Come on over anytime." So after work, I was like, okay, screw it, and I drove to the address and I parked at the gate, and I walked down the driveway to the barn, and this woman was like, "Oh, my husband told me that you might stop by. Come see our cows." And then she introduced me to every single cow. It made my whole week. Thank you, cow couple. That is so cute. Yeah, shout out to the cow couple. Oh my god, what's that? You miss cows? I have cows. You can come and see my cows. That's so adorable. The guy who mows the lawn in my building left a rectangle of wildflowers for the bees to use. Wow, that's also cute. That's so awesome. What a legend. No, this bit is for the bees. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did, make sure you let me know down below in the comment section. And also make sure you like and also subscribe. The comment of the day today goes to 89er. 2 guys walk into a bar. The third guy was smarter and ducked. Wow, that's actually funny. I'm loving seeing these jokes in the comment section. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. And thank you for the support. I'll be back soon with a new episode, and I hope to see you then. So make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!